Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Global Dialogue for Justice Global Classroom, where we continue our live stream publication of the scholarly report, Social Costs of the State of Emergency. It is my pleasure and a great honor to welcome our professor. He is the principal investigator of the study and advisor at the Global Dialogue for Justice, and he is one of the most fearless academics in the world, Dr. Bayram Arzuramula. Dr. Bayram, welcome to our classroom and say hello to our students globally.
Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me again, Virginia. I'm very grateful to you and to our listeners as well. I thank everyone.
Before we continue, today is lesson 6. But before we go there, I would like to remind our audience we have distinguished guests. They are going to join us shortly. It's the Colonel Hüseyin Demirtaş and Lieutenant Commander Ahmet Kalkan. So, Dr. Bayram, before we get them on the stage and join us, let's do a little bit of overview of your study for our new students that will be watching us.
Basically, okay, excellent.
Okay, Dr. Bayram, so your study is a mixed method. It's a qualitative and quantitative method. And you have worked for many years with 2 studies, and you are not done. So what can you tell our students about this report?
Well, our report is about victimization, but genocidal victimization, not an ordinary victimization, of hundreds of thousands of people by a genocidal organization driven by or got it is action or ideology from political Islam, basically. That is why hundreds of thousands of people, along with their families, that could the numbers could be up to maybe 5 million, 6 million, are criminally, genocidally attacked and victimized by this political Islamist criminal group, I say. Our report is about the victimization of those people, and our lectures are based on that study. Basically, our study was a victimization study using quantitative and qualitative methods, so that our study is quite robust due to directly interviewing the victims themselves. So our sources are first degree references. We don't use secondary sources, basically. We could use secondary sources just to support our finding or just to test some of findings. But basically, our data comes from first degree sources. That is why our findings are quite robust and quite powerful. This is all I'm going to say for now, basically.
Yes, and the study is going to be very, very valuable. It's used and it will be part of history, Dr. Bayram. And your contribution is truly, unbelievable. That the world can benefit from, the international community, the international students, faculty, scholars, It's going to be very valuable. So thank you very much for bringing us this report. Our topic tonight is something related, and it touches so many and various methods of crimes against humanity based on your report. The topic is about cadets in prison, and it's really hard to think about this because even non-Turkish, these are young people. And to you, I'm quoting you. You said that they are the most attacked, disturbed,
Yeah.
and tortured, punished, alienated, victimized section of genocide. So, Dr. Bayram, this is so powerful, and this is really true. And we hear this from your report. What can you say about this? Because this is so hard, especially for families.
Yeah.
Even civilians will understand this.
Well, to be honest, military school students, okay, they are according to modern criteria, they were children, okay, because they were under 18 years of age, okay. They are probably 16, 17, maybe years of age, but they were condemned. Most of them were condemned to life imprisonment. They were supposed to. They were supposed to join. Supposed to organize. They were supposed to attack the nation. Uh, to actually to supposed to be to make supposed to be coup d'etat successful. But the reality is they were used, they were trapped, they were tricked, basically. They were tricked because they were told that some of them they were some of them were told that uh, they are doing some sort of maybe exercises. Okay, some of them were told they are going back to their bedrooms, this and that, barracks, bedrooms in the barracks, this and that. But uh, when they were actually put in buses, supposed to be going to the exercise points or supposed to be going their bedrooms, uh, they were stopped in the middle of their travel, or sometimes they were asked to go to those exercise points, and then they were uh, condemned, they were labeled, they were pointed out to be going uh, to attack the nation. Well, nobody could believe that, but this criminal government, this criminal organization, uh, well, labeled them, tried them, and convicted them for attacking the nation. They didn't kill anyone. They didn't mine anyone. We know that for sure. We know that they didn't attack anyone. But just for the propaganda of this regime, criminal propaganda, they were used as a tool to misguide the nation, to actually misguide international community. That is why innocent military cadets are still in prison. The government have no intention to release them, because if they are released, whole propaganda will collapse. So that not to actually collapse their manipulation of the nation, their deception, their own trap to the nation, they keep consistently keep, intentionally keep, deliberately keep the cadets in prisons, so that they can go on uh, uh, telling their lies, basically. that is why military cadets are kept in hard conditions. They have little communications with outside. Plus, their life is so miserable, believe you me, that they are probably denied of maybe denied of their studies, most of them, denied of hobby activities, denied of doing some leisure sports. That recently I was heard from the families with my own ears. Okay, this is not hearsay. In some, let's say, some of them are in confinement, but if they are in large rooms, let's say sometimes 20, 30, 40 of them, only 10 liters, sometimes 5 liters, sometimes I don't know, less than that, water, daily water is allowed to them. In a sense, they were made to drink maybe unhealthy water. They sometimes get half of the food rations, this and that. Believe you me, many of them are in suicidal mood. They wish to stay alive. They wish to keep their morale high as much as possible. But this actual genocidal regime is trying to kill them there, if they could, basically, through the means of indirect genocide. As we told in our previous lectures, that the regime is making them to commit suicide or die of some sort of illness, so that they can get killed without a murderer, basically. I don't want to talk any much about it, so please take over, Merjina. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Vairam. And for this topic, and the best people who can enlighten us, who can educate us of what happened and what's going on right now are our two guests. And I would like to introduce our first guest. He was a Turkish Navy officer for 22 years, and he's one of the fearless fighters of the new form of genocide and author of the book Erdocide, Colonel Hüseyin Demirtaş. Colonel, please say hello to our viewers and our global audience.
Hello to you and hello to everyone. Thanks a lot for this program, Dr. Merjina. So today is something touching. Yeah, these cadets and very young children. Yeah, so I'm 35, 53 years old, and they are just my son. So they are so young, and they were at the beginning of their life, and they were very qualified and the future of the Turkish nation. But now they are all hostages, and they and their families are all hostages of illegal regime, I say.
So our other guest is also somebody who can speak with so much credibility on our topic tonight. He's a Navy veteran, and he's served 14 years, mainly on board for Turkish Navy, and his efforts to raise public awareness about what's going on in Turkey is truly unbelievable and truly unmatched. Lieutenant Commander Ahmet Kalkan, welcome to our live stream publication.
Hello to everyone, every participant and the audience. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you very much. And it's your first time for us to meet you. And so it's truly an honor having you here. So we're going to begin the complicated conversation tonight. And Dr. Vairam, what do you want to ask our guests about this very, very important topic that touches so many areas of your report? Would you like to ask a question to the Colonel?
Well, I've got questions for both of the guests. Well, military school cadets were, we know that, especially targeted to be used as a propaganda tool by this criminal regime, maybe to close military schools so that their places could be filled by some other useful elements of society, let's say. Maybe for some other reasons. Why do you think military school cadets were so heavily punished by this regime? In your experience, to be honest, I ask this question, both of you, because they are actively tortured by this regime. I have seen their agony. I attended one of their cases in Istanbul, in Silivri, to be honest. I went there and attended their trials for 2 whole days. I was there. I have seen how silly the accusations they had to they had to come face to face. Their accusations were so silly, but in the end, most of them were sentenced for life in prison. And actually, no person with a actually clear mind wouldn't accept those sorts of supposed to be actually convictions, but in fact they were that is my what's my own conviction. I don't say believe. That's my conviction, is that they are intentionally used for some sort of propaganda. Probably you have more insights on this matter. I would be pleased if you could give us, inform us, enlighten us on this matter. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, Ahmet, would you like to tell something about that? And first, I need to highlight that Ahmet was a Navy officer, but now he is a chief executive officer of Human Rights Center, Blue Tulip. So he has a very important and strategic position. Yeah. So it's important.
Sir, thank you so much, and Dr. Bayram, thank you so much for your introduction and also for the question. If you don't mind, just for the audience, I would like to mention that I have studied in Naval High School and Naval Academy for a total of 8 years. So I deliberately wanted to mention this for the audience, so I believe they will agree that I can quite confidently make comments about military students and their responsibilities, also their possible reactions. And just to make it clear in the eyes of audience and the public, I would like to share some definitions with you. First one will be the officer. It is clearly written in the Turkish Armed Forces regulations, describe the officer as a soldier who is assigned to the armed forces in accordance with the special law and has a rank from sub-lieutenant to field marshal or grand admiral. I highlight this definition because the military students, cadets, are not officers. This is one of the main definitions that I want to share. The other one is the definition of military student. It is also written clearly in the same regulation. Students who study at the various schools and universities to become officers or petty officers and who wear official uniforms. So this is the basic definition of the military student, which makes very clear that the only difference of a military student from a regular or normal civilian student is the uniform and some training and education that they are getting in the high schools or naval, air force, or army academies. And one more thing that I need to highlight is the relation between the military students, the subordinates, or superiors. Military students do not have subordinate or superior relations either among themselves or towards the enlisted. It means that military students have no authority to give order to somebody else, even to another military student. Just for some training purposes, it might be in the school, but it is not an official order at all. And last but not least, one more definition from the regulations as well. The enlisted and the cadets do not have the authority or will to refuse, carry out, or disapprove the orders given by their superiors. If the order given is illegal or constitute a crime, the criminal section belongs to superior who gave the order. So after highlighting these definitions, if you don't mind, and if I'm not taking so much time, I would like to share some numbers. If I'm not mistaken, there are 48 cadets received aggravated life, the harshest form of life sentence, and 83 with life imprisonment. And around 150 of them still in prison. It is too sad for words, and unfortunately, there is no consistency between the court decisions even given by the same judges. So these numbers were more at the beginning, but some of the cadets were released, have been freed from jail, and got acquitment. So back to your question about why military cadets has been kept as a hostage, I can say hostage by the regime. The regime put us and gave to the public a picture of that day, July 15. If you are going to ask somebody in Turkey, what picture you might remember about July 15, I'm sure that majority of them will tell about the bridge. So, and the people or the military personnel who has the uniforms were at the bridge were the cadets or some enlisted. So that's why I believe the regime do not want to lose that picture. If they're going to release and give back the freedom to all these military cadets and the enlisted, even the enlisted has got the imprisonment, some of them, they will collapse the bridge in a way. So the whole picture they provided to the public to keep their propaganda going on, and the changes they made to the Turkish armed forces, mainly based on this picture, and this picture has been given at the bridge, and even you might remember some of the journalists did some documentaries which was covering the truth. So they're trying to keep this picture alive, keep this picture visible, and the most valuable way to keep this picture alive is the military cadets to be kept in jail, unfortunately. This is what I can say for now, and later on, if I can collaborate some more information and examples, I would happily contribute.
May I tell something? So to the question of why, all the answers to this question is just genocidal purposes. So there is a deliberate attack since 2016, practically. Also, we can go back to 2013, December. So there has been always a deliberate attack, and some people, these are the elements of a genocidal organization, they started making lists, genocidal execution lists, since 2006, as far as I found some documentation. And also there are lots of witnesses. And actually, last week, a lawyer shared this information. In 2014, they were making these genocidal execution lists. I call them genocidal execution lists because it is not a purge. They are just attacking the children of some people. They are so the total amount of these targets, genocidal targets, some people, some individuals, more than that, it is against Turkish nation. It is against Turkish Republic. It is against the constitutions and the values of this republic. So these cadets were the feature of Turkey, were the feature of Turkish armed forces. They were going to be strategy makers of Turkey and NATO and the regional organizations, the state, and also for the United Nations. They were going to be strategy makers. And the enemies of Turkish nation made something, prepared some lists, and they are applying a genocidal crime since 2016. So because of that, some cadets were beheaded, and the murderers were under the protection of the state with the decrees. And these protection texts were published gradually. So it means in July 2016, they were not aware of some requirement to protect these murderers. Because of that, for example, in October, I'm not sure about the dates, but in October, they published a decree, and 1 month later, they published another one. And they said, all these murderers are under our protection. They gradually published decrees. This is something very rare. I don't know if there is something similar in the history of human beings. So it is a deliberate, orchestrated attack. And also the lawyers of these cadets shared some information. So as the common sense changed in the favor of these cadets, some people hired killers, hired killers and hitmen of the media. They just started to assassinate the reputation of these cadets in unison. So this assassination to reputation was orchestrated, synchronized, and the timing was just set according to the change of common sense in favor of the cadets. So it's very clear there is no answer other than genocidal purposes to your question, Dr. Bayram.
Could we say that the military school students were the victims of some genocidal intentions, genocidal plans of a criminal organization who is governing the country since then? What would you say to that?
It's very clear, because they started publishing books, articles on newspapers, and they made programs on TVs, and they just tried to degrade the reputation of the cadets. So normally they don't know each other. So they are not some people who had relations with these cadets. They just made lists, and they brought the requirement for these genocidal executions were this inhuman will to destroy all the generations. Because as you remember, in September 2016, there was a workshop, I call this genocidal workshop in Police Academy, and they said, we are at a war which will last generations. And Admiral Cihat Yaycı said these generations, the number of these generations were at least 2 generations. And when they said these kind of things, when they decided in this workshop, these cadets were just 18, 19, 20 years old. They were not officers, they had no ranks, but they had future. And they were future of the country. So the wording is very important in the workshop. It is that we are at a war. So who fights in a war? 2 different enemies. And as officers, these police officers, and there were also prosecutors, chief prosecutors, and judges, chief of courts, who were following or the rulings. They were making the rulings. So the chief of courts were attending this genocidal workshop and decided to these wordings together. And we are at a war is a very dramatic expression. Yeah? It's not normal. So it's deliberate. It's deliberate. It's a deliberate attack.
Sorry, could we say that the military school students are victims of somebody's Game of Thrones, in a sense, to get some more power?
I'm not seeing this as a fight of power. It is a very clear genocidal attack, a very clear genocidal purpose. So because these cadets, they didn't need to take hostages. They could say, okay, this is enough with you, and we don't want you in public bureaucracy. But they didn't say that. They said this. They said that we will take you hostages in life imprisonment, and we will kill you there. Because in Turkish acts, with life imprisonment means execution. So normally they didn't need to do that. So they could say, okay, this is enough. You can be farmer. We don't want you in bureaucracy, especially in security bureaucracy. But they didn't do that. They just put them in jail to kill them, because life imprisonment is killing somebody. There is no way other than being dead. And this is not a need. Yeah? In a democratic society, nobody needs to do that. So it is not a game of power. It is not a fight of power. It is not a revenge also, because they were children. So there is no role of children in a revenge context. Nothing can explain other than genocide. This is very clear for me. There is no answer other than genocide. There is no explanation of that. There is no rationality. There is no logical answer other than genocidal act. There is no need to kill them.
If I may, to support and contribute a little bit to Captain Hüseyin, what I can say, as you might know, or the audience would know, Turkey's history has been littered with codes, and even the lower-ranking soldiers had never been held accountable in such a way. This is the first time Turkey has having such kind of severe decisions against the low-ranking soldiers and even to the military cadets and even to the enlisted. Everybody should know that when it comes to a co, it is not the level of low-ranking officers, and nobody will even mention about the military cadets. And in the history, it was around 16s. There were 2 different co attempts. They were unsuccessful, but the president of Turkey at that time just set the military cadets free. But this time, as you might see, there is the harshest decisions has been made, and they are still suffering. They are still kept in jail and decided and given to life imprisonment. So this is another example that might support Captain Hüseyin's point of view. Also, not a major thing, but something minor when we compare with genocide. If you might know the paramilitary organization of Sadat, the head of this organization has made a declaration after July 15 that they had some preparations and some significant changes to the structure of Turkish armed forces, and they had need a base for it. And July 15 was the base for these changes. After that, as you might know, all the military high schools has been closed. They dismissed, purged all the staff officers. They had education from the war colleges. So, and they also closed the military hospitals. These are some of the basic changes. It might be minor, but that can be some other reasons that military cadets has been used as a leverage for this kind of changes.
My question for the 3 of you actually is that, Lieutenant Commander, you started defining terms with the military. So based on that, how can the government of Turkey and the judicial system can actually get away with this crime toward innocent cadets? And how can they get away with it?
I think it was last week there was a Twitter space room that the lawyers and the families were discussing and sharing their memories and their witnesses. During the trials, the cadets denied taking part in the coup attempt and said they were only acting on orders from the superiors, as I gave the definitions in the beginning. So, and they didn't get any unlawful order. Even the judges was aware of them. And in the official accusations, at the first time, it was being a part of coup attempt. And then they changed it to supporting the coup attempt. And then it has been changed to the military cadets should know, would know, may know, might aware of, that kind of things that cannot be even a word in a lawful or in a justice system. The law or justice should act with the did, do, and does. But when you keep might, may, would, could within the decisions, it shows that there is no justice. There might be only the orders from the superiors. So as the lawyers clearly proved that they had no participation in the coup attempt, and even with the witnesses of the civilians from the breach, there are several cases for the military cadets from Sultanbeyli, Orhanlı, from several places. Civilian witnesses also showed up in the courts and and they mentioned that the military cadets had no participation and had nothing against the civilians, had nothing against the rule of law. So even though everything was proved with the video records, with the civilian witnesses, they had been punished with life imprisonment. So this shows even the same judges give some different decisions regarding the same cadets taking some maybe orders again, or taking some something personal from the cadets show up on the trials. So that makes again the decisions, as Captain Hüseyin described, as a part of genocidal act.
So, Colonel, so how is it possible? How can even the international community don't question this kind of decision, this unfair trials, and what's happening to these cadets? They continue to be blind and mute and deaf as they have relationship with Turkey, all these leaders and the countries that they claim to be supporters of human rights. They are blind and deaf. And how can we continue like this? How are the cadets going to be released? Because they need to be. They don't deserve to be in prison 1 minute longer. They need to be released. So how can this happen?
So there are there are several dimensions of this problem. So the first one, for international community, generally the international order is based on pragmatic approaches. So the countries see all the situations in a pragmatic perspective, and especially in the neighboring area, there is Europe, and the biggest problem of Europe, one of the biggest problems of the Europe, is this refugee problem, and Erdogan's regime is abusing this refugee problem against European community as a leverage of these kind of pragmatic consequences. Turkish society and more than 2.5 million of Turkish citizens in the silence, and the European countries especially, and other maybe faraway countries, the other countries are silent because of this pragmatic approach. Maybe you remember that a few years ago, the Ministry of Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu made something, maybe you remember, on the edge of TV screens. There were numbers, counters, and they were sending some Syrian refugees from Turkish border to Greece, and these counters were counting up. So it means Erdogan's regime has no value of against humanity, has no religious values, has no legal values, has no lawful values, has no moral values. They are just misusing human beings as material, as stuff. Yeah? We need to understand this pragmatic perspective. So the other side of the problem is the Turkish community, the society, other than the targets of genocidal executions. The other society is also looking in a pragmatic way, and they are just trying to be safe from the attack of this Erdogan's illegal regime. So to be safe under this attack, they need to be silent. They need to keep themselves silent against such huge amount of persecutions. So this is the another point, another dimension of the problem. The third dimension of the problem is the victims themselves. so last several months, I'm on the scene. So I am making interviews face to face with lots of people, and I saw that sadly, I saw that the victims of this genocidal act are not aware of what is happening. So this is also sad. So these three dimensions result this silence, and I'm just trying to awaken the people, but most of them are happy with their situation. So this is ununderstandable. Normally, when there is an attack to my rights, then I need to respond. More than my own rights, this illegal regime attacks the rights of my family members, my children, my wives, my colleagues, my nation's rights. So, but even in this situation, the victims are not aware of what is happening, and they are not acting, they are not responding. So this is some paradox. And sorry, but I'm not able to explain the situation. But how can we release these innocent people, these innocent young boys and girls, because there are also girls. So more than that, there are thousands of innocent people as hostages, kept as hostages, and they all left to that. So we need to do something. We need to act. We need to end this silence, and we need to act to rescue such thousands, hundred thousands of innocent people from this mass persecution bureaucracy, persecuting bureaucracy. What should we do? First, we need to be aware of the situation. Then we need to have values. We need to define universal values, and we need to act accordingly under these values. And we need to have this inner feeling. It is something more than the pragmatic approach. It comes from inner side of people. We need to motivate people in values context. Maybe I don't know, because there is a paradox. Yeah, so there is a mass amount of persecution, and the people are keeping themselves silent. So the victims and the attackers, I can say. So there is no clear answer to that. Dr. Bayram is trying to do something in Turkey. I am trying to do something. There are a few people, such you, Dr. Merge, trying to do something, but we are very few. So this is very sad. Really, honestly, I don't know what to say. Yeah. So in the last 2 days, I made lots of phone calls to find some people, some way, some platform to talk. So I say, I'm ready to make presentation. I'm ready to explain the situation. So I just need audience to talk. So when I talk to somebody, they say always, yes, you are right. We need to do that. And okay, let's do it. But there is nobody. Really, I'm so sad.
Well, we have something that we're trying to do, Colonel. And Lieutenant Commander, you probably heard our project, the Global Dialogue for Justice. We want to take it on the road. And Colonel, we are going to take it on the road, and we were preparing as early now, because we're doing it in July. And so we're reaching out to our global friends, especially in Geneva. Is that a place where we want to start, because this is like a 10-day global forum. And so when you say we want to act, we have to be courageous and set aside whatever it is happening in our lives, and set aside the month of July. It's very, very important for the majority, for a lot of Turkish people who are victimized by the regime. So you think, Colonel, and if we do this, we can, and we will move to from Geneva to Berlin, there are a lot of people from Turkey that's moved to Germany, and then we can go to the Netherlands, and and places where we really can rally them to get up, to speak up, to share their stories, and maybe we will hear by people in the West, because there are very few of us in the English-speaking world that can access, that have, fortunately, I'm extremely fortunate for having access, and for learning from you, Dr. Bayram, from learning from you, Colonel, your tireless work, always, educating us. And then, of course, the commander, your work is so important. So when you say let's act, I think we really should do it. So, and what do you think, Colonel?
So we have no other chance. We need to act. So the numbers are not important. So we will start walking, then running, but maybe on the way, some other people will join us. So I am sure the future will be excellent. A new generation will bring also peace. The future is very clear. But now we need to act. If we don't, then this future will not come.
So Lieutenant Commander, if we take the, we collaborate with organizations, would you be willing to help us connect, taking this global forum, the hybrid global forum that happens in July, and we reach out to you over there where you are, and some organization? Would that be possible? Because we actually want to get out of our chair right now, and we have to walk and talk and scream and cry, and we can probably be heard, and something will happen somehow.
Yeah, I will definitely happy to contribute, and even try to make more people to join us. What I experienced, when people see one or two people, it doesn't matter. As Captain Hüseyin said, the numbers are not important. Even people see one person talking and walking, they get the courage automatically. As an example, when we started to do some interviews with the officers who has been jailed or has to be forced to leave abroad, we knocked the doors, lots of officers, but most of them asked for some more time. After that, we started with one single officer. We made an interview and published it on YouTube. And after that, we started to receive phone calls. Hey, I'm ready, and it is time for me to speak up. So when you, Dr. Bayram, as Captain Hüseyin doing, so when you keep talking and speaking up, I believe that more people will happily join. So what I see as our responsibility should to speak more and louder, and to become the voice of voiceless. By utilizing all the means of communication, we should knock the doors of all the international communities and organizations until they open and listen to us, and also act for justice. So, and I believe that, as I see today, and it made me really happy, you are very well determined. You're speaking, you're walking, and making the things, the violations, clear and visible to everybody. And at the end, the victory will be the freedom and justice.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander. So, Professor, the floor is yours. What do we do? You are supposed to. We are really excited, Dr. Baram, because we will. You will join us when we take the global dialogue for justice on the road to reach more people, to talk to them face to face, and also virtually. We are very excited that you will be joining us. Right?
Well, everybody, all people around the world should know that we are facing against a criminal group, genocidal group, that are prepared to do anything, that are prepared to do all sorts of criminal acts just to get some more power, or just to get just to stay in the power. What happened on the 15th of July is an example of that. Basically, they probably used shock and awe operation against the nation, just actually in a sense to make them hostage to this criminal regime, criminal organization. And as the topic of today's agenda, today's lecture, military school students were used for that purpose. It is obvious. Anybody in the right mind would know that military school students, in other sense, children, underage children, cannot organize a coup d'etat. So this criminal group is trying to make the world believe that it was those who students run all of the operations. In a sense, they're just mocking with the world. This is I think we might think, because I mean they consistently show the pictures, shootings on the Bosphorus bridge to make the people believe that whatever they saw was right, so that all the actions the government, this criminal organization, took were right. What I'm trying to say is this criminal regime is using smokes, mirrors, screens, this and that, just to deceive, just to fool all of the world, the public in the country or outside, doesn't matter. So first of all, people of the world should come to this understanding. Whatever they see is more or less all propaganda, all lies. If they wish to actually put up with all those nonsense, well, this criminal group would feel more confident than they are now, so they will try to spread their criminal power all around the world, like Hitler did, like Stalin did, like, I don't know, maybe like Pol Pot did. If these criminal regimes had been successful in keeping their power, the world would be no safer place. So that I urge people of the world people with conscience, people with rational minds, basically, to be aware of these kind of regimes, the games, mind games, manipulative games, manipulation games of these sorts of autocratic regimes, so that they don't give them active support or passive support. So we have got to organize, we have got to give support to the victims, to the oppressed, not to the oppressors by staying silent. So we expect some acts from the people of the world. Why, in a sense, why people are so actually inactive in fighting their own victimization? Well, I could say that based on the research of my finding, basically, by using state violence so viciously, this regime made the victims paranoid. Believe you me, they are fearful of expressing their own victimization, because if you talk, not you yourself is in prison, your family members, your relations, this and that. I mean, that's not just prison, but you might they might lose their jobs. They might be actually mobbed, this and that, so that people are intentionally made paranoid. They put in the psychological position of learned helplessness, so nobody will come to your help. So stay silent, so that you can be raped again and again and again. You might remember, we might all remember that rape victims are urged to talk against their rapists. If they don't talk, they are raped again, and this goes on for years and years and years. It is the same for the victims in Turkey. Well, since they were made paranoid, they were made learned helpless people. They are made unorganized. They are made disorganized. Even if they talk, there is so little people to listen to them, because most of the people are victims of their propaganda. I mean ordinary people. I mean the ordinary who are supposed to come to the help of those victims. Since people outside of this country are less prone to the manipulations, black propaganda of this regime, I am sure they are in a better position to act, to help the victims. For now, I urge them to do some more than whatever they are doing for now. I thank you, Mergina, for giving me this opportunity to express this view. I thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. That is a very compelling and it's very emotional message and very powerful. And you yourself, you are a victim, but you never ever, express that. And because of your so much love and your commitment to help the victims, and it's truly admirable. And I wish that much of the world can see this, and I'm sure in the future they will. So, Colonel, what is your message to our global community, to the world leaders, to our global students, to everyone about our topic tonight?
So my message would be to genocidal regime: give up and end your all persecutions, because you will be at the end very sad. So I'm just thinking of them, their goodness, and to the society, the silent society. So if you allow this persecution, then in the future, your children, your grandchildren will be a victim of this genocidal circle. And to the victims. So not in Turkey, but in Turkey, but other than Turkey, because the other victims have their independence and their freedom of movement, freedom of travel, freedom of speech, and they are enjoying their lives in rule of law countries. So if you keep you silent, inactive, then this persecution goes ever. So you need to act. So my message to all these three segments of society is this.
Thank you very much, Colonel, for that, and it's a really important message, and it's really going to be received by our audience, by our students, and thank you very much. So, Lieutenant Commander, your message to the world and our global audience.
First of all, thank you so much for giving me the chance to speak to everybody. So what I can say to the people all around the world, other than the victims, I'm not going to ask them to be brave, but I will ask them to stay on the side of the truth and innocence. Please seek for the truth and listen your conscience. If you're afraid of speaking about the truth, that's okay, but please keep silent and do not clap for lies and injustice. If you are not afraid, then speak and demand for justice for all. As the topic of our today's broadcast, the military students, it is clear that they are innocent. Later or sooner, they will get back their freedom. What I can say to their families, they are already, as far as I see, their group of people, they are already acting, speaking, trying to make the military cadets in the eyes of the people. There are still people in Turkey that they have no idea and they do not aware of that the military students are still in prison, because everybody should know, especially the males who did attend the Turkish Armed Forces for the mandatory period. They should know that the military students has no role with the code. So it is very clear, but most of the people still do not aware that the military students are in prison. So to the families, I will say, please keep speaking, please keep acting, and make the people of Turkey aware of the position of the military students. So shortly make people aware, speak, and act for justice. This would be all, and again, our responsibility will be the same, and we will keep doing the same thing as we are doing, and also we will contribute more and more, whoever doing the same efforts beside us. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Commander. And to all of you tonight, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to bring you the live stream scholarly publication of Social Cost of the State of Emergency. And to the people that are here with me tonight, your contribution and your tireless work, there is nothing even a little I can do to match it. But as a scholar and as a member of the global community, I'm trying to do my best And so tonight, we would like to give a tribute to those 2 cadets who were killed at the bridge. They were murdered. And so it's very, even a civilian, when they see what happened to them, will have the heart, the compassion, and question what happened. And so tonight, we would like to give tribute to the 2 cadets, Ragip Ines Katran and Murat Tekin. May you rest in peace. So thank you for that opportunity, and I hope that we will see you during the Global Dialogue for Justice and Plight for Justice in July. So with that, we would like to say goodbye to you, all of you, and we are hoping that you will join us on our next live stream. Good night, everybody, and thank you very much.
Good night.